of a huge concern, which is psychosocial health, not just for the communities that are affected. Of course, it is a matter for them as well. But what do we do in terms of psychosocial care for our frontline workers, for our health workers? They are like us, they are on the front line, and they are in it for the long haul as well. So what is the kind of care we can provide? What are the issues that they are facing? It is something which goes beyond their physical protection from the virus through the provision of different equipment, etc. So what is it that we can do? How can we sort of use this mechanism to also learn about that aspect? What would work? What is the kind of support mechanism that is required for them? And also more generally use this platform to foster a sense of community, to convey this message that we are in it for the long haul. We are in the same boat, but if we work together concertedly, we are going to come out of it in some time. Thank you very much, and I look forward to staying engaged and learning from you and using this mechanism to advance our work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think to share in terms of the plans that we have been discussing as a core group of the academy, and also with our colleagues of the interagency groups across the states, is that initially maybe we will be running a series of courses which will be aiming at building some core capacities especially with reference to COVID disease, on a range of courses, both the pharmaceutical non-pharmaceutical response as well as for social protection responses. Within each state and union territory in India, we're looking at today also we try to see that every state and union territory get represented among the audience, and we build the initial cadre of trainers over there, and then run the state specific courses with the materials adapted, language, as well as the training content and the training with the partnership of the SDMAs and other state departments. So we run the state specific courses so that the issues over the language and other things and how we take it more and more local as this academy is very much on the part of the plan. We see that how we make use of technology in this environment where of a lockdown and the physical distancing which we all need to maintain, the challenges which are there. I'm sure with the support of all of you, and the guidance, as well as the enthusiasm and the efforts of all of the participants who are there on the front end here, we will be able to put a good fight and carry it forward during the recovery and rebuilding lives and livelihoods which are lost in this journey. So this is my opportunity to thank you, sir, member Shri Kamal Kishore, member NDMA, to thanks Dr. Yasmin, to thanks Nidhi, and to Dr. Han for taking out your busy time and be with us. We will stay connected and keep getting back to you with our feedback and what else we can take it forward. Thanks a lot. Thank you, WHO. Thank you, UNICEF. Thank you, HCL Foundation. And thank you all the participants for this inaugural launch session. And now I will hand it over to my colleague, Dr. Ilya Jafar, who will take it forward for introducing the course 1 as well as the facilitator of the course so that we can continue with the course 1. Thank you, everybody. Over.
Thank you. Thank you, Vikrant, and good afternoon, all of you. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Praveen H. Khobragade. He's a health specialist in UNICEF with 20 years of experience in the field of public health. He has experience in handling many emergency responses in India and even in other countries, such as tsunami, floods, measles outbreak, cholera outbreak, refugee crisis, etc. I must tell you, it is a privilege for all of us to have him in front of us because in his friend circle, he's also known as Mr. India. He's mostly invisible. So we all are privileged. It's very fortunate that we have Dr. Praveen in front of us taking the session. What Dr. Praveen is going to share today is really valuable information. So I would recommend that all of you not just listen to him, but also get pen and paper, take your notes, and believe me, it'll be really worth it. During the course today, there will be 4 sessions, and between each session, there will also be questions, and you will get an opportunity to respond to that. It's going to be interactive, so listen actively and participate. All the best. Over to Dr. Praveen and requesting Valerie to support with the presentation. Thank you very much.
So good afternoon, everyone. At least today, I think I'm not invisible, but I'm visible. But as you know, that this virus, which is spreading, is invisible. But then the disease, which it leads to, is quite visible. So I'll request my colleague Valerie to start the presentation, which I'll be making. Right. So friends, again, good afternoon. And this is the first uh, subject which the COVID Academy is going to deal with. And this is the very basics of what is COVID-19, which we all as citizens need to know. And as civil society organizations, I think it is very much needed for each and every one of us to know. Moreover, it is needed now because there are so many rumors, so many fake messages which are going around either on the internet, through social media, or through various means. Hence, what I'll do is I'll be taking you through the basics of what is COVID-19. Valerie, next slide, please. Yeah. So my session will be introduction to COVID-19. That's what is the transmission mechanism, what is the preventive measures, what is the incubation period, etc., which is a little bit technical. These technical things, I think this is very basics of it, which we all should know just to ward off from certain rumors and fake messages. Number 2 is how to keep yourself safe. What are the do's and don'ts? And number 3, the safe practices which you yourself can take, what the family can take, and what communities can take. And number 4, how to manage stigma and discrimination. Next slide, please. So friends, let's begin with session 1. At the outset, let me also thank the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, uh, whose presentation we have taken. It's a joint presentation, in fact, made by WHO, UNICEF, and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for the frontline workers. So what we have done is we have adapted this presentation for the civil society organizations for all the 4 sessions. Now in session 1, which you have just started, what I'll be telling you is on what is COVID, what is the virus, what is the disease, how it is transmitted, and also what are the basic preventive measures which we need to take. Next slide. So friends, let us understand what is COVID. So COVID-19, if I break CO, that is corona, VI, that is virus, and D, that is disease, and 19 is 2019. So that's how COVID-19 is formed. How it is transmitted? It is transmitted by a virus, and that virus is known as coronavirus. Now, earlier it was known as a novel coronavirus because it was a new virus altogether within the human beings. But now it has got a name, unique name, which is SARS SARS-CoV-2, that is severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2. Now, this virus is so small that it cannot be seen by the naked eyes. Now, what happens when people get infected by this virus? What people can have is they may develop some common symptoms like fever with cough and or difficulty in breathing. So fever is a common symptom which may have either cough and or difficulty in breathing. Now, who should worry about this infection? If you had traveled to a place where the infection is reported, you should worry. You have been in a close contact with someone who has COVID-19 infection, you should be worried. You have lived in same place as someone who has this infection, who is in quarantine, you should be worried. The next one is how it is transmitted. This virus is transmitted when an infected person coughs or sneezes. There are small droplets which are released in the air. Now, these droplets has this coronavirus if the person is infected. And when a healthy person inhales that virus, that person gets infected. That's how the droplets are. That's how the infection starts. Otherwise, there is another mechanism. This droplets after some point of time, they fall on certain surfaces on the ground or on certain surfaces. And if we touch those surfaces with our skin, either by hand or by any part of the body, then that virus is transferred to our body. And if that hand touches to our nose or mouth, there then we get infected. So it is the people who transmit this virus. The virus does not transmit by itself. So friends, now let's look at what is the incubation period of COVID. Friends, now let's look at what is the incubation period of Friends, now let's look at what is the incubation period of COVID-19. The incubation period of COVID-19 is up to 14 days. So what is the incubation period? It is when a person becomes infected and the period through on which this virus incubates within the body, and then there are some signs and symptoms which are developed. So this is known as the incubation period. For COVID-19, it is up to 14 days.
Okay, so should I start from the next one, incubation period के बाद?
Next slide, please. Now, how do we prevent the infection? As I said, the principle is that infection travels only from person to person, and infection is only through respiratory droplets carrying the virus. At the same time, if someone touches an object which already has these droplets, then there are chances of getting an infection. Next slide. Now, what are the methods of how we can prevent? One is distancing, at least 1 meter distance between any two individuals. And that's one, when we go out. Number two, and to stay at home, and to go out only when it is absolutely necessary. What we should not do is, we should not go to any events, like if there is, and we should not even organize such events like birthdays or any parties. It is advisable not to go for any death ceremonies, not to go to any crowded places like markets or melas, not to use public transport. And if at all we have to go out, then it's better to use the mask or cover your face with the face cover. I'll come to that later on. Next slide. Second is, after the distancing, to follow certain etiquettes, which is known as respiratory etiquettes. That is, whenever we feel like coughing or sneezing, it's better to cover, to use a handkerchief or a tissue. Second, otherwise you can also use your elbow to cover the nose and mouth. And after that, it's better to wash the hands with soap and water, or to use 70% alcohol based hand rub. Also, when we are traveling, it's better to use the face cover. We should not use the commonly used, what you can see right now is the sari or gamcha or chunni. That should not be used. And we should not spit anywhere in the open. Next slide.
कोरोना वायरस बीमारी को फैलने से रोका जा सकता है। खांसते और छींकते वक्त अपने मुंह पर रुमाल और टिश्यू रखकर इसे फैलने से रोक सकते हैं। अपनी सुरक्षा के लिए हमारी मदद करें। अगर आपको खांसी, बुखार या सांस लेने में तकलीफ हो तो तुरंत नजदीकी स्वास्थ्य केंद्र जाएं या हेल्पलाइन नंबर 911123978046 पर संपर्क करें।
So friends, this was a video on how to use a handkerchief. Similarly, we can use a tissue, or we can cover our mouth and nose with elbow. The third one, which I'm coming for, is washing hands or hand hygiene. The first one, remember, it was distancing. Second one was etiquettes, cough and sneeze etiquettes. And the third one is washing hands as frequently as possible for at least 20 seconds using soap and water, and especially when we go out and come in the house, or after coughing and sneezing. What we should not do is, we should not touch any other surface which are in common, like door handles, or jeep handles, or car handles, or the chairs, backs. We should not touch that. At the same time, we should not touch our eyes, nose, and mouth. If at all we touch, then the hands has to be washed. Next slide.
दीदी ये देखो।
नोवेल कोरोना वायरस बीमारी को फैलने से रोका जा सकता है। खांसी और छींक के बाद और बच्चे को छूने से पहले अपने हाथों को साबुन से धोकर इसे फैलने से रोक सकते हैं। अपनी सुरक्षा के लिए हमारी मदद करें। अगर आपको खांसी, बुखार या सांस लेने में तकलीफ हो तो तुरंत नजदीकी स्वास्थ्य केंद्र जाएं या हेल्पलाइन नंबर 911123978046 पर संपर्क करें।
Okay, so friends, there are three messages here. One is DEW, that is DEW. D stands for distancing, E for etiquettes, which are cough and sneeze etiquettes, and W for washing hands for 20 seconds with soap and water. Now let's take a test. So on your laptops and mobiles, please press the correct answer. Okay, so friends, I think majority of you have said correctly that it is only from person to only the persons they transfer, they transmit this infection. You know, even though I had said that the virus, after a person sneezes or coughs, the virus settles down on certain surfaces, and if someone touches those surfaces, it is transmitted. But that is also from person. So one person, it just takes a it, it, take, the virus just transmits from person to person, either by using direct transmission or through fomite based transmission. That's what we call. Next slide.
दीदी
Yeah. So now this is session 2. That is personnel safety and do's and don'ts. That is what we as an individual should do for ourselves. So those are do's and don'ts. I will also be talking about when we are moving around, and also when you get home. So next slide. So there are certain precautions which need to be followed when we are going into the community. So there are certain do's and don'ts. One is at least maintain 1 meter distance between any two individuals. See, there are certain times when we have to go outside the home, either to purchase certain groceries or to or for some other work. So that's the time we need to see that at least there's a 1 meter distance. Use a face cover to cover your face and make sure that it is properly worn when there's a crowd, or even when you are going out. Avoid touching your face, that is the nose, mouth, and eyes at any time. Wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds frequently, or use a alcohol based hand rub. It's better to carry that alcohol based hand rub in your pocket. Avoid touching or direct physical contact. It's better to avoid touching anything or anyone, or even getting a direct physical contact with any other individual. So this is what we need to do when we are going outside. Now, when we are coming back home, what we need to do is, before reaching home, inform someone from the home that you are reaching, either either by mobile, or before you go out, you can say by that in so and so time I'll be reaching home back. Don't touch the door handles and knobs. And immediately on reaching home, it's better that whatever you have brought from outside is kept at a particular location near the door. Wash your hands and carefully remove the face cover. The face cover has to be removed from the outside. First, the ear loops has to be removed, and then it has to be the face cover has to be removed like that. The face covers outer portion should not be touched. Soak the face cover in a bleach solution, or even with normal soap and water. It's advisable. Wash the hands with soap and water. Nothing like soap and water. The soap and water will actually remove the dirt. And it, also, if soap and water is not available, it's better than to use alcohol based sanitizer. Whatever you had carried out, whatever you carried or brought from the shops, it's better to, like your mobile phones or your purse, it's better to disinfect them either with 70% alcohol, or say 1% bleach solution. And if you get any symptoms like fever, cough, or difficulty in breathing, then it's better to contact a doctor, better in a government health facility. Next. Now, masks. There are various types of masks which are there, which are floating around in the market. So I think it's better that we understand which mask is meant for whom. N95 masks are meant only for those who deal directly with a suspected or a confirmed COVID-19 case. So it's not meant for all. We see on the streets that many people are actually wearing N95. That is not advisable for them. For them, what is advisable, I'll come later. The next mask, which is commonly seen, is the triple layered medical mask. Who should wear it? It is a sick person who should wear it, or person taking care of a sick person should wear it, or those who are visiting a hospital for any reason should wear this triple layered mask. And there is now new Government of India guideline, which is face cover. That means the general public, when they are going outside the house, then they have to use this face cover. The guidelines of how to, now this face cover can be made also at home. So these guidelines are there on the Government of India website, that is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare website. And this face cover, as I had mentioned earlier, should be of 100% cotton. Next. So friends, let's take a test. Yeah, so I think I'll just tell you that around 88% of participants have answered correctly. And those who had not answered correctly, I'll just reiterate that N95 mask is not meant for the general public. It is meant only for those who are directly dealing with a suspected or a confirmed case of COVID-19. And the triple layered mask is also not meant for general public as such. It is meant only for those who are sick or taking care of sick people, or those who are visiting the hospital. Only for them it is recommended. Those who have said face cover, yes, when we are going outside the house, we should use the face cover. Now I will come to session 3. That is for the home and the community. The earlier session, which was session 2, was meant for self, and this session is meant for home and for community. Now here, I think the role of civil society organization kicks in. And here I'll be talking more of the role of civil society organizations like us. How can we and you together do this? So my session will be how to create a supportive environment. Home quarantine, what is it? Home care. And if someone is traveling back home from city. Next slide. So friends, how do we create a supportive environment? First, in villages or in our societies, it's best to create a list of local influencers. These influencers can be religious leaders, can be gram pradhans, teachers, or even local doctors. So these are the local influencers. It's better to have a list of them, explain and discuss certain situations and certain worst case situations and certain protocols which need to be followed. Discuss the government orders, discuss the government notifications, and keep up to date of what's happening around, and give and also identify community and cultural networks and keep them ready with information. So this is what is the influencer management to fight discrimination. I will come to it, what is stigma and discrimination later on. But this is what is the influencer management. Next is the plan community support for high risk. So next is plan community support for high risk. We need to identify who are high risk. Friends, the high risk people are those which are our elderly, which are our parents like people, those who are more than 60 years of age, and especially those who are suffering from certain comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes, or any other problem. At the same time, there may be certain high risk groups. So it's better to keep a list of these high risk people. And also, these people may be in contact with some of their friends. So it's better that the civil society organizations also get in touch with these kind of people to mobilize any community support or any familial support which may be required for this kind of people. Also, there may be high risk groups like children. Now, why children? Their parents may be isolated, or their parents may be quarantined, or their parents may be suffering from COVID-19, and they may be either in the hospital or in the quarantine facility. So these children are also vulnerable. So we need to prepare a list within our area of these high risk groups. So friends, first I said prepare a list of the influencers. Second is of the high risk group. Then we need to coordinate with these networks which are required for our daily basic living, like say food, grocery, medicine shops. No, so these are some of the basic requirements which these high risk groups will need. At the same time, we need to share certain emergency contact details. There may be issues which will be faced either by the high risk group or their families or certain children. So it's better to get in touch with the local law enforcing agencies, such as, say, even the child protection committees which are there in the villages and in the society. At the same time, what I said is not only the emergency contact list, it's also the emergency referral transport. Right now, the ambulances have been, most of them have been earmarked for the transport of a suspected or a confirmed COVID-19 case. In case there is any untoward incident which happens in our neighborhood, it's best that we identify certain vehicles which are pre-identified for transport of any emergency case to a hospital, which may be a non-COVID emergency case. Next. Now that was for the community, for the home. Friends, for home, usually it is the home quarantine. So what is the difference between quarantine and isolation? We usually use these terms sometimes interchangeably. So quarantine is something where a probable infected person has been restricted movement. You know, there is no symptom of of COVID, or there may be certain symptoms, but that patient is not that case is not confirmed for COVID-19. So that is known as quarantine. What is isolation? It's already a patient of COVID-19 which has been kept separately and which has been treated separately. So that is known as isolation. So friends, home quarantine is very popular now. So those are people who are those people who have been home quarantined? Those who may have returned from an area which has high cases of COVID-19 infection. At the same time, there may be cases who are contacts of certain confirmed COVID-19 cases which have been home quarantined. So these contacts will require home quarantine. Now, what to do for this home quarantine? They have to stay in a safe, ventilated, well ventilated specific room has to be allocated, and the movement to that person has to be very, very restricted. At the same time, if there's a separate bathroom and a toilet which is allocated for that person to be used at home, that is the most advisable one. Third one is that only certain people, that is only one person should be allowed to enter to interact with that home quarantine person. If there is fever, cough, or difficulty in breathing, and we suspect that it may be a COVID-19, then they had to wear a mask and they had to notify to the nearest health facility or to a health authority. Visitors are strict no, and that person should not go outside the house. Strict home quarantine is strict home quarantine has to be at home only. Avoid public transport, not go to any market, schools. Next slide. So as I said, it's only one person to be taken care of, that probable infected person, and all clothes, beddings, and utensils of that probable person should be kept separately. They should be identified. Wash clothes separately in 1% bleaching solution. How to make bleaching solution is 10% teaspoons of bleach in 1 medium bucket of water, or you can also use warm water and soap for washing the clothes, but then the clothes has to be dried under the sun. Clean all places where the infected person may touch with soap and water or bleach solution. There should be strict monitoring of any symptoms like COVID which may develop, and always wear a mask and clean hands often with soap and water. Do not go near cattle and other animals. As I said, all household members should be will be staying away from that person. Only one member is allowed to interact. Rest all maintain at least 1 meter distance. And small children and elderly persons should not be allowed to interact with that person. At the same time, it's advisable that whatever masks anyone uses in the home, it should not be carelessly put anywhere so that the children may play. Instead, it should be thrown away in a closed dustbin. Next. Now, when someone is traveling back home from another city, there are many cities in India right now and many districts which have certain COVID-19 infection at certain levels. So it's better that if you are traveling from back home from another city, it's better to self quarantine yourself at home. And as I said in the earlier slide, how to self quarantine. Those all factor or all precautions, as I had said earlier, needs to be undertaken. Next slide. So we will go for a test now. Please initiate the test. Okay, friends. So I think majority of you have answered correctly. That is all of the above. That means we have to maintain safe distances from other people and restrict movement, avoid visitors to the house, and avoid going to public areas. Now I'll come to what is stigma and discrimination. Friends, here I'll be talking about what is stigma, why is there stigma, and what does stigma do, and what can you do. Friends, I'll try to differentiate here between stigma and discrimination. So the stigma is something which is in our head. We stigmatize a person. It is in our belief. And discrimination is when that belief comes into action. So that is stigmatization. So that action can be having certain looks to a person, so that's discrimination. Talking something which that person may not like, harassment of that person, or violence or outcast of that person. So friends, this is what I'll say. Since there are Hindi participants also, stigma means कलंकित करना, किसी को कलंकित करना, इसको हम स्टिग्मा कहते हैं. डिस्क्रिमिनेशन मतलब भेदभाव. So next slide please. So why is there stigma? And when I'm talking in relation to the COVID-19, friends, COVID-19 is a new disease. As you had heard from Dr. Henk, the representative of WHO, we are building a ship as it sails. That means we don't know everything about this disease, which is COVID-19. Hence, there may be certain information which is passed wrongly. So it is the unknown through which which is one of the main factor for stigmatization. And then there's a fear of the unknown, and this fear is also spread through various wrong messages, through rumors and fake news, and this spreads fear. Next. So how do we recognize stigma? Friends, I'll give you certain examples. Sukhram has come back from Pune, where he works as a factory help. The family has been hiding Sukhram, as anyone in the village is insisting that Sukhram may be infected and the family should go out of the village. You come to know that Sukhram's family have asked him to leave the house. Okay, so here what is if we dissect this particular case, then Sukhram has come from a city to the village, and his family members are trying to were trying to hide him. But now when the village got the information, now the family members are saying that you now go away. Now this is stigmatization. What is the fault of Sukhram here? Is Sukhram at fault? Hence, this type of cases will be there in the community, friends. So Sukhram and his family both need support, and even the community needs support, because there are certain wrong messages or rumors or some myths and misconceptions which have gone to the family and the and the community. What we need to do is we need to tell that Sukhram needs to be quarantined for 14 days. And if Sukhram develops any signs and symptoms, then Sukhram needs to be informed. The health authorities need to be informed about Sukhram, so that proper appropriate healthcare can be provided. Now in this case, Sukhram is not may not be infected right now, right? So this message and this support the family will be requiring, and also the community. Friends, I'll take you to another case. Your daughter Beauty has been sent back from school as she has cold, and she comes home crying. Friends, now in this case, does Beauty have any signs and symptoms of COVID? Cold is not a sign and symptom of COVID. It is fever with either cough and or shortness of breath. Beauty does not have any of this, but it's just a misconception within the teachers and within the schools or within the students of their schools, and they have stigmatized Beauty and said that you go home. Now think of how she will be feeling. It was no fault of hers. but beauty was stigmatized. Next, I'm coming to another one which will require certain community support. Surali is a young girl of 11 years. She and her 8-year-old brother are staying with an aunt as their parents who work in the city have been asked to go for isolation. Friends, Surali's aunt keeps on complaining that the children are a big burden to the family's resources. So here is a case of young brother and sister whose whose aunt is not whose aunt is not willing to take care of them, and the parents are in isolation facility. Friends, just think of the condition of these two young children. They will be under tremendous mental stress with no parental support, and the support from the immediate relative also is not forthcoming. In this case, it's better to contact the Child Protection Committee and seek appropriate help. I'm coming to another one, which is Dadu is 73 years old, and as soon as the news of COVID-19 pandemic began to unfold, he was dropped to his ancestral house by their son and daughter-in-law. This was because the couple thought that their only child Naina might get infected through Dadu, who was told that being elderly, he was at high risk of getting infected. Dadu, being a diabetic, has to scout for medicines. Friends, Dadu is like a fatherly is like a fatherly figure, and this is his condition. His immediate, his son and his daughter-in-law are not willing to take care of Dadu. Friends, Dadu is surely a high risk one. He is elderly, more than 60 years of age, a diabetic, plus now he has been isolated. There's no familial support. This type of behavior will have an adverse effect not only on Dadu but also set a bad example for Naina. Dadu needs to be reached with all the basic necessities and medicines. His son and daughter-in-law needs to be explained of talking positive. Now, when he has already been shifted, what can be done? At least talk positively to Dadu daily over phone, and they need to be counseled to avoid such behavior in the future. Next. Now, friends, what does stigma do? Stigma makes people hide their problems. Now, just think of the case of Beauty. Beauty just had a sneeze, though she didn't have any signs or symptoms of COVID. But now, if she gets any signs or symptoms of COVID, she will try to hide her problem. And the stigmatization also keeps people away from accessing health services and seeking help. And it discourages them and may at times prevent them from adopting healthy behaviors. Next. So in case of COVID, I'm just coming, who all are stigmatized? Friends, you have been watching news, you have been looking at WhatsApp. We have many such information where the people are getting stigmatized. Those who have fever, those who have cough, those who have sneeze. There was an incident in one of the state where one sneeze and that person got beaten up. So those sneeze is not a sign and symptom of COVID. Travelers, those who have come from outside the country, from outside into India, are now getting stigmatized. Foreigners are getting stigmatized. There are certain ethnic groups who appear like some other country people, but they are our country citizens. they are getting stigmatized. There are certain religions, groups who are getting stigmatized. And most of all, I think it's also the healthcare workers, friends, the doctors, nurses, ward boys, who ayas, who work for saving lives in this COVID-19 pandemic situation. Even they are not been allowed to enter their buildings or their societies. There have been these cases. What we need to do is we need to try to break this stigmatization. Next. Friends, what can we do? Each and everyone has a potential. And for stigmatization, what matters is the words. Talk about COVID-19, but don't talk about any locations. Like, for example, some people are saying Chinese virus. No, 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 please no. The official name is COVID-19. Please maintain that. Okay. Don't refer to people as suspects or victims or those that are spreading the virus. No, 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 friends. It has to be people who have or may have COVID-19, or people who are being treated and or recovering from COVID-19, or people who died after contracting COVID-19. No victims, no suspects, no spreading the virus, please. No repetition or speak only on the basis of scientific data. That's it. They clearly do speak just on the basis of scientific data and the latest official health advice. Now, in our country, it is your state governments, it is the national government. Also, you have many good advices from UNICEF, from WHO. These are the most trusted sources of information. Please follow only that. Don't share any unconfirmed rumors or fake news. If you feel that this is unconfirmed or this is fake, please don't spread it unless you confirm it. At the same time, do talk positively and emphasize the effectiveness of prevention and treatment measures. We need to all work together, and don't emphasize or dwell into negativities or threats, please. Next. What we can do, friends, each one of us has a tremendous potential, and if we all get together, we all can amplify the positive voices. We can, as I said, engage with the social influencers. We can spread the facts and positive news. We can correct misconceptions. We had to bust the myths, and we had to be sympathetic, as well as have some empathy for those who are dealing with COVID-19, either the patients or the cases of COVID-19 or those who are taking care of them. Thank you very much. Can we have a test? So friends, I think majority of you have answered correctly. Does stigma keep people away from accessing health services and seeking help? 88% people have answered correctly. For those who have not answered, I'll just try to clarify for them that, friends, stigmatization, as I said, in Hindi, what we know is a kalankit karna. If someone is stigmatized, please try to be in his or her shoes. Just try to see, just try to see how they will be experiencing it, right? In Hindi, what we call it, उसको अनुभूति करना कि वो कैसे शायद उसको प्रतीत हो रहा है. तो हमें इस तरीके से हमें हमें समझना होगा कि शायद जब हम हमारी भाषा या हमारे व्यवहार से और किसी को हम कुछ कुछ कहे या फिर बोले या हमारे व्यवहार से क्या उसको बुरा लगेगा, उसको कैसा महसूस होगा. तो दोस्तों, फ्रेंड्स, I'll just like to say that stigma actually keeps people away from accessing health services and seeking help. Thank you. At the same time, these are some of the myth busters. There are so many fake news and rumors which are going on, friends. So I thought of listing some of them which are myth busters. I'll just read it out. Exposing yourself to the sun or to temperatures higher than 25 degrees centigrade, friends, does not prevent COVID-19. Okay? So this, you can recover from COVID-19. It's a viral infection. Catching the new coronavirus does not mean that you will have it for life. As you know, the viral infections come and then they go. Being able to hold your breath, there are certain WhatsApp messages which and certain videos which are circulating that hold your breath for around 10 seconds, and if there is no cough or feeling discomfort, that means you don't have COVID. That is false. That message is false. Drinking alcohol does not protect you against COVID-19 and can be dangerous, friends. You know, so someone had said, because when we say that the hand rub should be having 70% alcohol, so what people have said, okay, if we drink alcohol, that means it will kill that virus. No, friends, it's not like that. COVID-19 virus can be transmitted in areas of hot and humid climates. You know, just think of what is happening in Kerala, Singapore, which are hot right now, and still the transmission is going on. Cold weather and snow cannot kill the new coronavirus. No. Taking a hot bath does not prevent COVID-19. COVID-19 cannot be transmitted through mosquito bites. Hand dryers are not effective in killing the SARS-CoV-2. Spraying alcohol or chlorine all over the body will not kill the viruses that have already entered your body. If those viruses are outside your body, then they will get killed. But if they have already entered your body, then it will not get killed. And there is no evidence that eating certain kinds of foods like garlic and all, it will prevent COVID. No, it may increase your immunity, but it will not stop you from getting infected. It may stop you from getting, after infection, the disease, but it may not stop you from getting infected. People all of all age groups can get COVID, friends. We have also newborns which have got COVID, children which have got COVID, elderly people who have got COVID. But the high risk group, as I had said, it is the elderly, and those, especially those which are more than 60 years of age, and those which are comorbid conditions. Those are most vulnerable, friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen. We'll start the question answer session now. So the next 10 minutes we'll spend on some questions. I can see a lot of our participants have already posted lots of questions on the chat box. Let us pose it here. Valerie, if I can request remove the presentation sharing, and let's see all the presenters, all the participants. Those of you who have questions, please raise your hands and we'll try to take questions one by one. You will have to click on raise hand icon.
You are
Yeah,
unmuted.
Mirudula Gora. Mirudula, you have your raised hand. Please ask your question. Valerie, if you can unmute Mirudula.
Valerie, you'll have to unmute her.
Okay. I'm unable to unmute Mirudula.
Yeah, I think there's some technical issue. She's not getting unmuted.
Yeah.
Can we have another question, please?
Yes, Smriti Shukla. Please ask your question.
Hello. This is Smriti. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, Smriti, please go ahead.
I want to ask, is there any effect of open defecation? I mean, how we can relate open defecation with this COVID-19?
Okay, friends, as I said, that the main mode of transmission is from person to person, which is droplet infection. However, there is one study which has come, which shows that even the virus can get excreted from feces. So based on that one study, uh, and that's the only one study which has come, and what is required is there needs to be many more studies. But right now in this pandemic situation, it's better that we follow all the practices. It's not, what I'll say is, it's not only distancing, etiquettes, and hand washing. These are the primary responsibility. These are the primary modes of prevention. Also, the other practices like open defecation and all should be stopped, and that will lead, not only, if at all, as Dr. Henk has said, we are still learning more of this disease. We still don't know much of this disease. So as a normal routine etiquette, it's better that we stop this open defecation and defecate only in toilet.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen. The next question let's take from Kingshuk Saha. Kingshuk, please go ahead. We can't unmute you. Okay, there was some technical problem. Can we have the question from Mr. Mishra?
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yes.
I'm audible.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
you are okay. My very popular question is that how we can maintain the distance. This is sometimes 1 meter or 2 meters or 3 meters. Some researchers say that 6 meters. Then what is correct?
Yeah, as I'll just repeat, we are building the ship as we sail.
Yeah.
So currently, the available literature says, that it has to be 1 meter, which is, हम कहते हैं कि 2 हाथ दूर रखना, ठीक है? हाँ, it is 1 meter, but then it's better, at least 1 meter. What we say is at least 1 meter.
At least 1 meter, okay.
Yeah. So it's better that we maintain distance as much as possible, but at least for a meter.
Okay, my question is more related to daily life. That in the morning, hawker gives the newspaper. While preparing the newspaper, there is no problem. It is kept away from all infections. But whenever he distributes, is there chance in his hands or something in his proximity to get it spread through the newspaper or something?
Yeah, friends, what we come is the probability. I think the probability is there, but the probability is very low. As I said, it is transmitted by an infected person who
Okay.
coughs or sneezes, and then
Okay.
that droplets are there on any of the surfaces. It can be a newspaper, it can be any other surface.
Okay.
So in this case, if that person has this symptom of cough and sneeze, then that droplets can be can settle on that newspaper. What is advisable is, if
Okay.
that person has fever, cough, or shortness of breath, it's better that that person stays home and approach a doctor for identifying whether it
Okay.
warrants an attention for COVID-19.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Let's take the next question. No, we have Biswanath Basu. Would you like to go ahead with your question?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. My questions are actually in your session, you have told that don't use as face cover that pallu and gamcha like that. Why? Why you are telling that use only the cotton based face cover? Then why not pallu and gamcha and all this?
Biswanathji, a very nice question.
Yeah.
If the pallu or gamcha is made up of 100% cotton, please use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it has to be at least 3 layers. Use it at least for 3 layers.
Okay.
Yeah. But then many of the people cannot devote one pallu and gamcha when they are going out. So it's better that you have some cotton based mask, which can be prepared at home, and there are certain guidelines of how it can be prepared at home on the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare's website for citizens. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so you can prepare it at home and devote it for that purpose.
Yes, sir. Actually, I am from a village, and in our village,
Sir, I
people
would
are.
request to keep the questions short. There are a lot of hands, and we would like to take
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
okay,
questions.
okay, 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 ma'am. I got my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So next, let us have the question from Rohit Kumar. Mr. Rohit Kumar. Okay. Miss Parvati.
Parvati Ganesh.
Valerie, if you can mute all once again and then again unmute the person asking the questions. We have a question from Mr. Praveen Ramteke. Mr. Dinanath. Miss Smita.
Hey. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
My question is, can you tell me something about the role of nutrition when one has, either in quarantine or if one is tested positive? What should we eat? What should we avoid?
Yeah. Smita ji, nutrition plays a very protective role. As I said, a very protective role. But it does not mean that it will avoid you. If you have proper nutrition, you can avoid the infection. No, that's not it. You may have an infection and still be a healthy person, a person with good nutrition indicators. Now, as I said, eating certain fruits or vegetables and those things will build up your immunity right?
Mm.
But it will not prevent you from getting infection.
Mhm.
Now, as I said, this was in the prevention side. On the treatment side, the treatment of COVID-19 is what we say symptomatic treatment. You know,
Mhm.
so as the symptoms comes, it's treated. Majority of the people, even they are not even kept. It's only about 5% of those cases will require
Mhm.
ventilatory support. So
Mhm.
as the cases develop, and as per
Mhm.
their nutrition needs, that's how those patients are then treated in the hospital.
Okay, but there is no specific dietary regime.
There is no specific, as per the current evidence, there is no such specific dietary advice given from WHO.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll take two more questions. Let's take it from Amalnath. Mr. Amalnath?
Yes, sure. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Uh, Actually, my question is now India is transforming to the third stage of the community transformation of the COVID-19. As all of you know, the first stage is the transmission stage. It can be transmitted through the objects, which is in the through metals on 8 hours and the cloths on 12 hours. Something is there. As on Chinese, first is the virus is observed in China, so there can be a Chinese environmental conditions. What could be the environmental conditions in India? It can be. Hello.
Hello, yes, Amalnath ji.
Uh, Can you hear me, sir?
Yes. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, actually, I'm asking about the transmission possibilities in India. The transmission of possibilities by objects which are on metals. It can live for 8 hours. On wooden box, it can be 12 hours, and then on plastic, there is one. It could be one day. Like it is in all environmental conditions or only Chinese environmental conditions.
Right, fine. I think this is a very good question, and as I said, we are still learning about this particular virus and the disease. So the virus, as I said, on certain surfaces, if it can settle down, and the droplets settle down, and in those droplets there are viruses, and those settle down, and if we touch that particular surface, then we transmit then that virus is on our body.
Yes.
Now, friend, like, this virus survives from either few minutes on a particular surface to at least 3 days. Now it depends on what is the what surface it is, what is the temperature around that surface, and various other factors around it. So we cannot fairly say good enough uh, that on this particular surface this virus will survive only for these many days or these many hours or these many minutes, because it depends on various environmental factors and also on the factor of that surface. That's one. Number two, as you said, on this community transmission one, that's why we have this lockdown right now.
Yes.
Yeah, in this lockdown period, it's best that all these practices of prevention are followed, so that there is no chance given to the virus for surviving either in human beings or on the surfaces. So that's the objective of this lockdown.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen. We'll take one more question. I can see in the chat box there are a lot of people who have a lot of questions again. Everyone, just know that this is the first course. We will have a series of courses. Look out for the next announcements, and there will be a lot of opportunities for all of you to engage. We will also be uploading all the material, this presentation, plus there is other resource material which is validated by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare on the webpage of COVID Academy. So look out for that. For the next question, if I can request Nidhi Agarwal to go ahead.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, hello. Good afternoon to all of you present over there. I just want to put one question that as the economy is not working past so many days and there is lockdown situation, and what will happen to the people who are daily wage earners, those who are working in the private firms, offices and companies? How will the salary be accounted for, or whether they will be given any perks or something which will help them to be in the lockdown situation? So what are the plans that the ministry or the government is planning for the coming days if the lockdown period gets extended up till April? How will the working pattern be? Whether all the laborers will be returning to work in industries, factories, semi-skilled and skilled workers? I'm really worried about it. So please just answer me in those terms.
Right. So, Nidhi Agrawal, thank you very much for this question. And I think the points which we have raised is concerning not only you but all of us. Because it's not.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. There's a storm here, storm out here. I'm so sorry.
You can just mute yourself again back. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So Nidhi ji, I think the points which you have raised are very valid and very relevant in these times, and it's concerning all of us. It's concerning the governments, it's concerning us, it's concerning the private sector, everyone. And you also raised a very pertinent issue of migrants and also the private sectors and the salaries. Nidhi ji, this today's sessions were only on the basics of COVID, what is COVID, and its transmission. How do we prevent it as a individual, as a family member, as a community, as a civil society organization, what we can do. So the answers to your question goes beyond the scope of today's presentation. But your sessions, but your points are very valid, and we sincerely hope that every one of us uh, understands that when there is an emergency, when there is a pandemic, I think majority of the other services gets low. Over. Okay, friends. I think I'll continue from the chat box, from the Zoom group chat box. I had noted out certain points, on certain questions. So there was one question which is, what is the difference between chicken pox and COVID-19? Friends, COVID-19 is an entirely new disease altogether, and chicken pox is a very old disease. Chicken pox, when it usually affects the younger people, the younger children, whereas COVID-19, the elderly are more vulnerable. Chicken pox, you have fever, rashes, and there is something, and those rashes start from behind the ear. Whereas in COVID, it is fever with cough and or shortness of breath. So that is then an answer to this question. Number two question was, what is the incubation period in case of an asymptomatic? Friends, incubation period is one when there's an infection and then the symptoms come. So the incubation period is up to 14 days. That's the time when there are no symptomatic, when there's no symptoms. That means the case will be asymptomatic. And when the symptoms arise, that means that that particular case may have COVID-19 and needs to be tested for confirmation of COVID-19. Another case was, another question was, Tamil Nadu has 28 days quarantine. Any clarifications? Friends, as per WHO, the quarantine period should be 14 days. But there are certain governments which are not taking any chance, and they are doubling this quarantine period for 14 days. Over.
Yes, so though this is Vikrant. So though we have some few more hands with few more questions, but I think it's time also. We're coming towards the end of this particular session. I think there will be more courses, and those of you who still have questions, you can send those questions in the chat box or our email also. We will try to see how best we come back to you about this. And with this, we have also planned some a post training and evaluation kind of thing. So there is the website address displayed over there. You people can go over there, and there's a small test you people can do, and based on that, you people can download a certificates. So this as it says that you have to visit the link before to next one within next 24 hours to be able to do this test and get the certificate download for you. That's it. So if with this, I think I will like to thank all of you for your enthusiasm to join this first course, and we will look forward to your feedback. Please write to us, write to Valerie. You have got her email ID, and write to us that how we can improve it better. We do have a plan to do more courses. We do have a plan to do from the probably next week onwards a language Hindi and language specific courses in each of the states with the state specific audiences. So I think some of you have been asking about this, so those will be addressed over this. And with this, I thank Dr. Praveen for a very interactive and very interesting presentation, and also some of very good interesting questions. Thank you so much, sir, and we will announce our next course very soon. Over.